Okay. Okay, Tia. Explain stimulus response pathway with example.
Okay, so the stimulus response pathway is a way of our body to detect stimulus, and it basically shows you how it is that our body reacts to the certain stimulus. For example, um, when we put our arm or our hand next to a hot place, such as a burning fire that is of a candle, our immediate response is to take our hand away in order to not burn it or take any damage from the fire. So then this is an example of receptor and response. But this is a quick response, so it doesn't have time to go to the CNS, but goes through the PNS instead. But it still follows the same format, where the stimulus in this case would be the fire of a candle, and the
Okay.
receptor would be your arm and the skin. As your skin is a sensory organ in itself and is the biggest sensory organ, it is full of nerve receptors which detect a change in temperature, which is the stimulus in this case, and which causes you to take your hand back. But in order to not take any damage or a large amount of damage, the it the stimulus and the receptor will take the information through your spinal cord, because it doesn't have time to go to your central nervous system, which is your brain. So this goes through PNS and is the reflex action. But an example um, of a stimuli going through the CNS would be something such as a bright light being shined into your eyes,
Hmm.
how your eyes react to it, and how your pupils become smaller. So that is an example of how a stimulus can go through your central nervous system. So in this case, the stimulus would be the light. Your receptor
Hmm.
would be your iris,
Okay.
and it'll go through your sensory neurons to the central nervous system. Then there are
Hmm.
relay neurons that are present in your central nervous system, which send the information from one to another, and then
Very
it
good.
goes to motor neurons, which
Hmm.
cause your pupils to become smaller in order to adjust to the amount of light that is coming in, and then that's
Hmm.
your response. And then sometimes you blink, and that's the response.
Okay. You blink your eyes. That's the response. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good, Tia. Okay. Tell the function of sensory neurons, relay neuron, and motor neuron.
Okay, so I'll read point by point and explain.
As you wish.
Okay. So the first point says the sensory neuron carry impulses from the sense organ to the central nervous system. So the sensory neuron is located on your sense organs. This
Wait a
includes
minute.
your
Instead, you explain neuron. That's more easy, na? That
yeah.
dendrite take a information, then it goes to your cell body, and cell
Hmm.
body to axon, axon to terminal, axon terminal, and here it exchange the chemicals and then pass the message to the next neuron. Is it easy for you to explain?
I think the motor neuron and the other one is easier for me to do.
Okay, but that will take a lot of time if you read points. Instead,
Hmm.
you can give a short brief about the sensory neuron, motor neuron, and relay neuron.
Okay, I'll just read a few points from the motor neuron because I'm not very well versed, but like relay and sensory I can do.
Okay.
Okay, so the motor neuron carries impulses from the central nervous system to the muscle. So your motor neurons are what cause your muscles to move, like your fingers moving. And like the example I had given before, if your
Hmm.
hand goes to a fire or a hot object, your immediate response is to pull your hand back. That is because of the motor neuron. The motor neurons are what cause your hand to go back in that reflex action. Then you have
Okay.
relay neurons. They are not sensory or motor neurons, but they make connections from one to another. So if you want to make a connection from one neuron to another, your relay neurons are used, and your relay neurons are present in your CNS, your central nervous system, in your brain, where what information from like your sensory neuron has to be passed on to your motor neuron. Your relay neuron will come in place over here as it transfers the information. And your sensory neuron is what picks up the senses. Your sensory neurons are present all over your sense organs. So this includes like your eyes, your arms, your taste buds, they all have sensory neurons. They're all able to detect outer stimuli. For example, for your eyes, it will be harsh light. For your tongue, it will be change in flavors or even temperature. And then for your hand, it will be temperature, physical force, chemical. If it's a chemical like a water or a liquid that's coming, yeah, a liquid that's coming in on your hand. So then those are all the senses that sensory neurons detect.
Okay, very good. Term, what is the role of neuron in our body?
Neurons, they're
Is
basically used
neuron
to take,
important?
yes, they're extremely important.
Okay.
Neurons are used to transfer information from one place to another, and
Mm-hmm.
they also help us in movement. As I had mentioned, without sensory neurons, without motor neurons, without relay neurons, we wouldn't be able to function. We wouldn't be able to move, so we wouldn't be able to perform movement, locomotion, it's called, right? So we wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to perform locomotion without our motor neurons, without our sensory neurons. We would not be able to adapt to our environment. We would not be able to detect changes, which would be detrimental to us because certain very important changes, such as temperature changes, would be something that we need to detect, because to maintain homeostasis in our body. So that's
Okay,
how sensory neurons and motor neurons come into action.
good.